For more than 100 years, Ford trucks have shared the hard-working values and independent spirit of cowboys everywhere.
This is the story of a global cowboy culture that began 15 centuries ago in a tiny corner of the Mediterranean and spread from there to every corner of the New World. It's made up of thousands and maybe even millions of people. They come from different backgrounds and speak different languages, but they are united by common traditions, by a love of the land, and by horses.
Rich, how we doing?
Just waiting on you, boss.
All right, let's go.
642, come in, Sean.
642, go ahead.
Okay, we're going to head out southwest and make a drive over to Rattler. If you need us in the next 20 minutes, we'll be able to pick up. Otherwise, we'll be on horseback.
Okay, that sounds great. Thank you, sir.
Lucy, where are you cattle laying out in the southwest?
There's a lot running between that camel mill and the rider's turf. The rest of them are out on that pitchfork land.
Okie doke, I'll take an extra man with me down there on Jamal's Creek.
10
to 15, come in, Rich.
15. Go ahead, Mike.
Rich, you watched the weather last night?
Warming up this evening, Mike, but it's supposed to be pretty nice this morning. Let's get together before it gets too hot.
Lucy, don't be the mule's tail today. We gotta hurry up and get things done by lunch.
10-4, that's where I go most of the time.
On a big modern ranch like the 4-6s, the cowboys trailer their horses to the start of a cattle drive. After that, they'll spend the rest of the day in the saddle.
All right, cowboys. Monty, you and Jake head north. Boots, you take these three guys, go up through the middle. The rest of you guys come with me.
We'll ride with these cowboys and with riders from many different cultures to discover an ancient way of life that's very much alive today. A 1,500-year global tradition that has helped shape the entire New World. The 4-6 stretches out to the horizon, nearly 500 square miles. The spring rains bring fresh grass to the prairie and a new season of work for the men.
It's something we all look forward to. We get to go out, make the big drives, handle a lot of cattle. It's the same as it was 150 years ago. We get to go home and sleep in bed every night, as opposed to sleeping at the chuck wagon like my granddad did. But the basic work is the same.
The old ways of riding and working are still used today because they still work best. And because of that, to discover the roots of this ancient culture, you don't have to look in the past, but you do have to look in some unexpected places. Our history begins in Morocco, on the western edge of the Sahara Desert, at a present-day traditional Berber wedding. The ceremony takes place in the village Kasbah, its ancient fortress, where the bride is prepared by the women of her new family. The men from the wedding party wait outside the village. 1,500 years ago, their ancestors perfected a new style of cavalry warfare, using their Moroccan barb horse. They had no way of knowing it then, but this athletic endurance horse would be the predecessor for cowboy horses throughout the Americas. And this lightweight saddle of rawhide stretched over a wooden frame, this bit with long levered arms to better control the horse, and these wide flat stirrups would be the model that nearly all cowboy tack would be based on. But it's still used in its original form here, as the men stage a ceremonial attack on the Kasbah to honor this warrior heritage. In the early 700s, Moroccan horsemen conquered Spain. There in the province of Extremadura, cattle owners saw great opportunity in the Moroccan way of riding. They adopted their horses, saddles, stirrups, and tack, and used them to manage much larger herds of cattle over much larger areas. The vaquero, the original Spanish cowboy, was born. True to that military riding style, vaqueros used then, and still do today, long blunt lances called garrochas to steer their cattle around. The most important conquistadors also came from Extremadura. When they set off for the New World, they took with them their barb horses, their cattle, and their cowboy ways. In 1520, the conquistadors landed in Mexico, right here in Veracruz. Their horses and cattle were a perfect match for this new green paradise. Mexicans adopted and refined the vaquero way of life, which became the defining culture of our country. Rafael Sanchez and his father Samuel are riding to a charro association near Jalapa. These men and women are charros and charras, ordinary people committed to preserving our 500-year vaquero history through this stylized horse culture called charrería.
El río baja por el monte a playa junto al palmar. Así es Veracruz, mi lindo Veracruz.
Mexican vaqueros invented almost every piece of gear that's used today by American cowboys. And many of the English names for cowboy gear come from the Spanish. Espuelas became spurs. Chaparreras became chaps. Mexican vaqueros evolved the saddle as well, adding the horn, a place to tie off their most important invention, la reata, the lariat. These charros are getting ready for a charreada, the grandfather of rodeo. Like rodeo, its events evolved from what cowboys do on a ranch. In this event, Manganas a pie, Rafael will try to rope a running horse from the ground, as if he had been thrown and had to catch a horse to ride. Back on the 4/6s, the cattle drive continues. From 1600 to 1800, thousands of cattle escaped from Mexican ranches and multiplied by the millions in the land that would become Texas. In the mid-1800s, Texas immigrants using Mexican methods began to round up these wild cattle and move them north to provide food and leather for the Industrial Revolution in drives that looked a lot like this one. In this way, Texas cowboys spread the traditions of the Mexican vaquero throughout the American West. But this drive is coming to a close. Since the cattle here roam freely over many miles, the cowboys need to brand them in case they are lost or stolen and vaccinate them against diseases. But first, they need to separate the animals.